Oh man, today's going to be a unique episode of CSGO News. One big story out there, Valve being sued yet again. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts. We all know I'm not a legally astute person, so I'm going to give you guys my opinions. I will link the article down below if you guys want to read through it as well. The lawsuit down below. On top of that, if you guys want to read through it, give me your thoughts and opinions. I'm going to overview pretty much the first half of this because it's not the first time Valve has been sued by a legally operating facility out there, right? It was actually, first of all, the state of Washington, and now a casino in that state is on top of that suing Valve. And well, it's interesting, guys. I'm not really sure if I side with them. They do make some pretty valid points, but throughout the entire lawsuit, it seems like some lacking intelligence. So I hope you guys all enjoy. I'll be back here tomorrow morning breaking down CSGO news, and it should be a fairly large episode because I'm making this a solo video. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and let's get into the lawsuit, guys. And again, like I said before, some pretty solid points were made, but let's tear them apart. So the Quinault Nation, actually owning a casino in the state, have decided to sue Valve. On top of that, like I said before, the state has already sued Valve, and that has drug on for quite some time, which already leads me to think this one, if this lawsuit's not going to drag on for, a couple of years, if not, then maybe Valve would settle if the case is even substantial, which I really do not think. Overall case, especially throughout the early points, is them accusing Valve of actually implementing skins to try, of course, to facilitate the gambling scene. They actually retouch on this several times throughout the entire article itself. They also make the point that Valve has actually contributed to the online gambling scene with their skins and also facilitated doing so. If you guys remember the several sites through 2013 to like 2017, this actual lawsuit though goes from 2013 to 2016. But either way, you guys remember there were a lot of sites up and running. Valve tried to shut down a few of them. They never could get a hold on all of them, and not until probably recently as well, 2018-ish, 2017-ish as well, where they were actually shutting down and pretty much putting an end to all those gambling sites. So I can't argue that point. Okay, the gambling scene online wise has been affected by Valve themselves, but we got to remember this market is so unregulated, and the fact that Valve has no operations license for this, but they're also very loosely tied to these websites. And so when it comes down to legally, if Valve were to respond to this, I imagine they have set themselves up quite comfortably in that direction because they do not directly operate any of those sites. Those sites operate out of their own choosing, and then Valve only supports them in the terms of their own Steam bots, which they have since shut down. So ultimately, whatever points are made that I do agree with in this lawsuit, I think Valve is fairly protected in the way they've laid things out for themselves. And ever since then as well, I'm not sure, even if these lawsuits are brought up from the years of 2013 to 2016, Valve has ever since, of course, with the trade ban on top of that, the shutting down of Steam bots, Valve have pretty much crippled the gambling scene out there, besides VGO, which is an entirely different market. So Valve could be ultimately protected by saying, hey, the gambling scene's pretty much dead now. It's just taken this long to actually execute our plans to shut them down. So ultimately, I think Valve is protected, but this lawsuit does make a few good points. And then point 9, very early on, it gets a little hairy. I'm really curious what you guys think about this because after talking to a few friends and of course playing a few games with crate systems or unboxing systems as well, like CSGO as well, where we open cases, point number 9 makes it that apparently Valve had made this case opening just like a slot machine to entice us, therefore to open more of them and actually seem more like gambling, which I am on the fence about. I will say this, okay? Of all the games I've played where I've unboxed things, yes, CSGO is very clearly like a slot machine compared to other games out there, but like games like Overwatch or Apex, they still give you a bit of that little bit of a twist, right? You're a little bit surprised. You don't know what exactly you're going to get, and they all have, to me, the same ultimate goal is to get you to open more of them. So I'm not sure this is actually a fair standpoint to make, although I will say, yes, it's a lot like a slot machine. Does that make us want to gamble more? I don't know. I think we've actually gotten pretty to the point where all of us know opening cases, especially once they release the case odds, is not really a good idea. So is this a fair point? I mean, what do you want us to do, right? What do you want Valve to do when you're opening a case? Do you want Gabe singing in the background instead of the slot machine noise? I don't know. So point 9 to me was a bit hairy, but it also makes a bit sense as well. But then points 10 and 11 made some valid claims, but ones we already knew about, and that's actually Valve not getting into trouble quite yet for their affiliation with these gambling sites from the period they actually describe as 2013 to 2016, and Valve still doing nothing about it and continuing to allow these sites to use their Steam bots. Now, points 12 through 14 continue on these statements where Valve actually gave these sites technical support. They refused to shut down free trading and also refused to blacklist these Steam bots. My thoughts on this this are that, yes, like I said before, Valve maybe did not successfully do these things during a specific time period, but they have ever since, especially since VGO is around, pretty much done all of that, right? The free trade is now gone. We have a trade ban as well, which has crippled the gambling scene, and they have blacklisted Steam bots for, I think, a majority, if not a far majority of sites out there. So my ultimate question is, with this lawsuit, can Valve simply say, it took us this long to actually execute these things, we have now done them, so is the lawsuit meaningless? I mean, they are valid points for the time, but now so on down the road, Valve has actually solved these issues. I just don't know where legally this actually can hold up in a court basis. And here is where it gets a bit crazy, guys. They go on to state they have broken Washington state law, which I would borderline, again, agree with, but it's unregulated market, so the licensing thing has been a talking point for sure about Valve, and I still think they're very well protected. But then the Quinault Nation makes the boldest claim I have seen all day long, and it's so early on, I just couldn't even believe this one, guys. They actually state it has harmed the Quinault Nation and their casino, because we all know if Valve had banned CSGO cases, we would all probably be living in Quinault Casino right now and gambling it up there instead of online gambling with our CSGO skins. Maybe that's just me. I know for a fact I would be living in Washington right now gambling at the casinos if I couldn't be doing online gambling with CSGO skins. So that point to me is crazy. The fact you think that gambling online CSGO skins has somehow affected your casino, your individual casino, and people actually going there to gamble. And it continues. Another huge part of this argument, actually from points 21 through about 40, I don't know, it was a lot of reading. It's about the fact that Valve has also not paid the same licensing fees. They don't pay the same employees, the agents, the auditors, as well as if Valve has not had to pay these regulated fees, then we deserve some sort of payment for this, which, again, they're right. Valve has probably escaped a lot of the payments that these guys have had to make as actual regulated casinos, but that's probably why, I mean, it's unregulated market. Valve they have not been forced to pay these things, and until they are, they're not going to simply hand out cash by the fistful. The fact that Quinault Casino now wants payment because some unregulated gamblers out there have not been paying their fees, well, okay, start suing every online corporation out there that's been doing this kind of thing outside of Valve, and there are tons of games out there where you can actually gamble, especially now with the VGO market. Who are you going to attack next? And the final point I'm going to make in this episode, I kind of overviewed the first half of the document. If you want a back half explanation, I will link TDM Jesus' video down below. Another great video describing kind of just the craziness of this lawsuit so far, and probably the fact it's not going to withstand any sort of settlement even. Along with that, though, point 49 was my most favorite description of the entire lawsuit itself. It describes the thrill of what it's like to actually gamble / buy and sell these skins, and it defines it to a T, guys. It's all about, put in their own words, the thrill. It's experiencing all the illicit thrills of the black market weapons trafficking without any of the hanging around in darkened warehouses getting knifed to death. And I couldn't agree more. Every single time I went on OP Skins to sell my skins, it was like I was in Mission Impossible. It was so dope. Like, I remember selling skins every single day and just... it was amazing. It was literally so amazing, and I'll do it again. I'll do it every day if I have to, but now OP Skins is gone, so I really can't. So it's like I'm not in Mission Impossible anymore. But yeah, that's about it. Now, I'm not going to say these guys are completely illiterate, but the entire lawsuit to me, it was interesting. They made some fair points. You know, pretty much the overall point I got from this is they're trying to call out Valve for facilitating gambling, not doing anything to stop it like they did during that short period of time where gambling was at its high point, and Valve seemingly could have put an end to it, and they delayed that putting an end to those gambling sites, which I do agree with. There was certainly a time where I thought, okay, can Valve do anything here? And they kind of stepped in, and then they kind of reverted their step in, and it wasn't until OP Skins kind of shot themselves in the foot and our 7-day trade ban came out where I finally thought, wow, Valve is actually trying to put a stop to online gambling. So overall, some decent points out there. The overall lawsuit, though, in itself, it seems a bit tricky for one casino to pretty much sue Valve for their own benefit. To me, it kind of reminds me of the whole situation. Remember, it was actually CSGO Empire calling out Skin Hub. I believe that was a huge story out there. Both sides had their own evidence, but it was kind of like people didn't really believe either side because it was a gambling site suing another gambling site. Each CSGO Empire obviously is suing, or kind of trying to sue Skin Hub and kind of call them out for their own gain. And so it was very hard to believe CSGO Empire because it was for their own financial gain. So of course you're going to try and call them out. Same with this case, right? You have a casino calling out Valve for their online gambling because it hurt, apparently, their casino experience and, of course, their revenue on top of that. They also call out Valve because Valve has not paid the same fees that a casino typically would because casino is regulated, online gambling very much not regulated. To me, overall argument, probably not winnable, but we'll see how it works out. I hope you guys all enjoy. My name is Jake, and yeah, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Okay.